And we are live. All right, guys, we got another episode today. We got a special episode because we got the co-founders of a new Ethereum decentralized token trading system called Swap. And let me quickly read out their bios. So the first co-founder is Michael Oved, which is a co-founder of Swap, an Ethereum token trading ecosystem. Michael is a veteran algo trader, spending a quarter of his life at a leading firm, Virtu, having been on the founding team and grown its Asian operation to a multi-million-dollar business. He's a graduate of Carnegie Mellon, originally from Los Angeles, and a fan of all things music. Now his co-founder is Don Mosites. He's the founder, also co-founder of Swap, an Ethereum token trading ecosystem. And Don is a serial entrepreneur, product designer, and full stack engineer with more than a decade of experiencing building products for companies such as Google and Zynga. And as well, he is a graduate of Carnegie Mellon and originally from Pittsburgh and a fan of all things photography. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So the first question I actually have, because I haven't done too much research on this to tell you the truth, is what is Swap?
Sure. So I think ultimately Swap itself is a blueprint for a decentralized token trading ecosystem. We've designed it with like the power of blockchain in mind. So in that sense, a focus on peer-to-peer, a focus on decentralized. And with this burgeoning token economy, I mean, you have token launches happening like almost every day at this point. There are more and more of these, and we deal in trading those tokens.
All right, so run me through it. You mentioned for some people that might be a tongue twister, decentralized trading ecosystem. So in a nutshell, like explain to us in like plain English for somebody, let's say, who just got into crypto space, like what is that?
Yeah, so maybe we'll start with like the history of what the inspiration for this design was.
Mm-hmm.
So like historically, there were marketplaces, and marketplaces are mostly peer-to-peer, open bazaars. These happen in towns historically, in like, the central square. And then this evolved over a long period of time, and you had, the trading pits in Chicago, New York. And these trading pits are essentially rings of people. They're, and also the transactions happen peer-to-peer. In the late 90s, early 2000s, there was, advances in computing power allowed for order books to evolve. And so what's an order book? An order book is basically a list of bids and offers stored electronically. And that's how most of us are used to trading, because we have seen this, we see it on all the exchanges we interact with. And now we have this new exciting paradigm called the blockchain, and it's really, I think that there's the demand for within the ecosystem for people to be able to trade without middlemen, and the blockchain allows for that philosophically, but there are some limitations with the blockchain. For example, scalability is a concern, and the nodes are distributed. So we kind of came up with a design where we're not limited by the blockchain.
So like I just want to summarize, since the word itself is Swap, the name of the company, so people are generally going on there, and are they selling tokens and buying other tokens, or is this something similar to like say Shapeshift, where I want to transfer between two different types of tokens?
So I think that interaction model that you have with Shapeshift, where you are actually performing it, like I think they use the term like deposit and receive. You're actually kind of trading like cryptographic assets with them. So that's like a one-to-one kind of trade, and that interaction is actually what happens in our design as well. So there's no order book, no order book there. But at the end of the day, it's about either having tokens you want to trade away, or being interested in trading for specific tokens, and being able to find those and find people to trade with.
So let me kind of paint a scenario, paint a picture over here. I want to trade, let's say, I don't know, 100 Golem tokens for, I don't know, a certain amount of Ethereum, and now place that order on there. and then other people will fill that order for me? So does it become more kind of like a Uber-esque model where like I send the message out in the network, and depending on who wants to actually receive my message, they will receive my message? Like, I'm just trying to kind of visualize this.
So you would have your 100 tokens that you're trying to sell for Ether, but you would indicate that you wouldn't price it yet. You would indicate that you're interested in selling these tokens, and then people who are interested in purchasing them would actually reach out to you directly in a peer-to-peer fashion.
Okay, so when they reach out to you, is that an instant transaction, or it's kind of like a messaging app, or like, hey, I'm interested in actually buying those tokens, and I'm going to offer you X, Y, and Z?
Actually, that kind of instant messaging model is conversational in the same way. So like once you connect with somebody who's interested in either buying or selling the tokens that you're interested in selling or buying, you would actually request an order from them. They would provide an order to you, and then you can work out the price from there.
Okay, so once you request it and I work out the price, and let's say once we agree on the price, how is the actual process facilitated? Are the tokens in an escrow? Am I using my own private address, or do I have an address on Swap? Like, how does that process actually look like?
So once that order is crafted, say that I want to trade token X for token Y, and you would like to perform that trade with me, you would create an order. You would be the maker in this case. And then you would provide that order to me, and I would actually take the order and submit it to a smart contract. And it's filled on the blockchain at that point.
Okay. And
so the funds are never held by Swap.
So you're never held by Swap?
Right.
At all? Okay, so Swap is just a facilitator of the transactions.
Exactly. Well, it's a facilitator of the discovery,
yes.
And then the facilitator of this this negotiation, which could be a single message passed or multiple, and then that is subsequently filled in the blockchain. So
and now, do you guys have your own native token within Swap?
Well, that actually is a part of our token design.
Okay.
So our design is such that holding a token gives you access to our services that we're providing, and you could of course trade those because they'll be ERC-20 compliant as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we wanted to choose that design because we didn't want there to be necessarily any fees on the trades itself, because then we're designing the system such that it has as little friction as possible.
Now, is there going to be caps on this? For example, certain exchanges will have a cap so you can withdraw or even deposit sometimes. Is there going to be limits of what I'm actually able to sell or buy?
Sorry, I thought Oved might take that. But so there are no limits, really. Ultimately, it comes down to the balances that you hold in a token. So like say that because the contract itself will actually perform transfers on each kind of respective token. So if you hold Gnosis and I hold Augur, for example, the order is crafted such that 100 of token A will be exchanged for 200 token B, and then that is filled on the contract itself.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's go back to something Oved said earlier on the fact that for the scalability issue that you said, even though it's on the blockchain, what are you guys, you said something interesting. You've solved, at least for now, the scalability issue when it comes to, let's say, too many users. How does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, most of the interaction happens off chain, and I think that that's a design that a lot of projects have chosen. But furthermore, we think that because we're not using an order book is basically a public location where people can find bids and asks. And so when a market maker comes to an order book, they're posting an order. They're not sure that it's going to execute. So cancels become a regular occurrence on an order book. Cancels are something you have to think. Canceling your order is something you have to think about on an order book. With peer-to-peer, it's actually a client requesting from another client an order directly. So we think that cancels will be much less likely.
So based on that, though, what is then your business model for Swap?
Yeah, so we are planning on, in the short term, launching a token and having this be an open source, at least parts of the platform to be open source. And the token itself will give users the ability to access the platform.
So to summarize, the strength of the network, the more users you have on Swap, the more people facilitating and using it for their own benefit. Because you mentioned there's no transaction fee. So if I want to sell my, let's say 10 golem for whatever someone's buying it for, there's no transaction fee to facilitate that transaction. So therefore, if I understand this, the business model is then based on the network effects, network structure, and how many users are using it on a daily basis.
Well, yeah,
That's
and you can
correct.
consider the token to be a license primarily.
Okay.
So you own a token, you have access.
Okay. Going back, I know I'm flip-flopping around, but going back to the UX, because that's a big bane or pain point in the industry, because most UX designs are just horrendous. Will an individual be able to do this on their phone in real time? Like flawless, beautiful, click a button, a little bit, 2-3 buttons, and they're operational.
Well, so I think first and foremost, the way that we approach the development of our product is by trying to create like applications that the crypto community is going to be using on a daily basis. And so that like just designing for that actually very clearly informs how we should design this protocol. And it's been very helpful, I think, so far. So what that does look like for sort of an everyday user is an application much like some of the ones that we've actually demoed during our previous updates on the protocol. So we do want to create a nice, smooth way to actually to discover counterparties and perform these trades. And even that we expect to implement in like a fully decentralized manner. So even the infrastructure that we develop is going to be in the same ethos, I think.
So for now, it's just going to be a desktop app, I assume.
Well, so right now we have, we have a native iOS app that we've developed. I think that was the first kind of demo that we put up. We also have a web-based application that I think we demonstrated it on mobile through the Status app. But the web application would also work in any web environment that provides Web3, which is a module that's provided by things like Mist and MetaMask and Status. So that web app would run in those cases as well. So yeah, I mean, the web will be cross-device, but I think the native app is going to be pretty nice too.
What would you say was your biggest hurdles in the creation of this?
From a design or an implementation standpoint?
Say both.
I think Oved can speak to the design because I know that he did a lot of research over the course of the last many months of last year and looking into order books and how to best implement this stuff. So I think maybe coming to the current design was there was a lot of thinking involved. Oved, can you speak more to that?
Yeah. I guess experience with market microstructure on hundreds of exchanges, you kind of get an idea for what designs will work and what designs won't work, and the technology that is available in the classic finance world is very sophisticated, and they have their order books know the state of their system in under 40 microseconds. So that's 40 millionths of a second. So, and that's a physically centralized system, and that's why it's able to get so fast. They're using hardware, they're optimizing all their software. So, we were kind of trying to, when you look at this space, I think everyone looks at it and says, we want a decentralized exchange. We want to write, an exchange and a smart contract. And then, there have been a lot of implementations of that. And I think that, a lot of them have, they haven't been designed with the limitations that you have when you're writing it into a smart contract. And so we kind of were trying to think outside of the box and not think as far as what how to take an order book and put it on the blockchain. And we came up with peer-to-peer.
Nice. Another question I have is on regards to private information. For example, a Shapeshift, all I got to give them is my two addresses, the one that I'm buying for and the one I'm receiving for. How would it look like for using Swap when it comes to private information?
I think it'll look pretty similar to that. I think the goal is to, we don't necessarily need people to register their full identities to be able to trade on our system at this point. So I think out of the box that it's definitely a similar kind of goal.
So this brings up an interesting question. Where do you then see the future of, for example, decentralized token and crypto exchanges?
Decentralized.
Yeah, they're going to become decentralized.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think.
Do you
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that there's going to be a lot of cool implementations over the next 2 years. We're going to see a lot of different approaches, and I mean, ultimately for token swapping into and out of tokens, I think that that's going to be for the most part on decentralized solutions.
Cool.
Yeah, I think there's a place for multiple designs at this point. The use cases change, the interaction models change based on those. So.
And so when are you guys launching?
So I think that we've basically talked about our token, and we're starting to work on that at this point. We want to make sure we have the protocol right. We want to get people looped into our beta program and using our software and get that right. So we're still in a phase where I think we're building, and we want to make sure that everything is looking pretty solid. I think through the rest of this year and through the end of the year, you'll be hearing more and more from us on that. So
then, like, you can tell us maybe like rough next year, you should potentially see a launch.
I think we're talking about this year for sure.
Okay, cool, very cool. Are you guys looking for new any more beta users?
We're actually in pretty good shape. We had an excellent response. We put up a post not too long ago, actually asking people to join up. So I think we might have a little space on there if anybody wants to jump on. Hit up our website at swap.tech. That would be awesome. Love to have you.
Cool, awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. If they want to get a hold of you or find out more information about Swap, what is the best resource?
Yeah, I think the website's probably a good start. We're on Medium and Twitter and Facebook and everywhere. You can find us at Swap Protocol.
Cool, awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.